Hi everyone, welcome to Bikini Design Club. Before you follow this video for the part 2 of how to sew swimsuit pattern Maria, don't forget to watch part 1 or maybe add some dartfulness. Secure. Okay, I'm gonna So one of the things that I'm going to do now before I forget is that when we sew this and we have the non-visible stitch on the entire neckline, we will end up having a little bit of excess fabric on our lining sides. You can see that here when I flatten, at least here you can easily see that. When I flatten the strap, you can see that if both fabrics are flattened, you can see that we have more or less half a centimeter or 1/4 of an inch. We have that of excess of the second fabric. So before I do anything else and before I forget, I'm going to cut all around my neckline on the lining only 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less than 1/4, like 0.5 centimeters, just a little bit less. And I'm gonna cut all around that bit, okay? That's what I'm gonna do now. Now I'm gonna grab my power bar and I'm gonna grab my elastic, which, as you know, I only have black, so I'm gonna show you with using black. And I'm gonna sew my elastic on the edge here. This is going to be against my body, so I want to avoid the seams against my body. So what I'm gonna do is gonna cut a little bit bigger than the actual lower part, like so. And now the plush side is this one, so this is against my body. It will be like so. So I'm gonna place it right sides facing together, and I'm going to align this here. And I'm gonna sew with a zigzag stitch from one edge to the other. I am, however, going to tension this just a little bit. Not too much, but because I know that too much would be a problem, but just a little bit, so that once it's on her body, the elastic will be under the bust and will snuggle a little bit on her. If you have your, it can be also too much because it will pull the fabric from the back. So don't exaggerate, okay? When I say a little bit, it's probably this. Just a little bit, you see? Just this small bit. So I'm gonna pin this here so that I know what I need to stretch. And I'm gonna do the same here. It's really just a little bit. And I'm gonna sew this edge with a zigzag stitch, and I'll come back. Once you have done that, flatten the seam and do a zigzag on top here with the seam towards the power mesh so that it stabilizes the seam, okay? Just a small zigzag from one edge to the other to stabilize the seam in place. And we now have our power mesh ready to be included on our main piece. So my main piece is here, and I have my lining, which is the white, as you know. And I will want to have this like so against my body. So I will align this here. And first of all, I'm going to secure this to my lining with a basting stitch. So align the side darts. I always flatten the sides of the darts. The dart legs, I think it's the name. Sorry, but I'm not native English and sometimes I miss some words. And of course we removed seam allowance, remember, in this area. So now this is a little bit too big, but it's fine. I'm gonna pin in place here. And I'm also going to trim a little bit of the power mesh because I know that we have done that on our lining, so I'm going to trim this also. And now I'm going to align, pin this in place, and I'm going to baste stitch the power mesh with our lining. The same here on the side. Of course, you can already go ahead and cut your excess elastic. And once you have done one side, just repeat, baste here and repeat the process on the opposite side. And so now that we have this already basted in place, we can go ahead and, finish our swimsuit, right? I think the rest is quite easy. I don't know if you need to follow the tutorial or not, but if you do, please do so. I will show you briefly how to do the rest of the swimsuit, but it's very simple. We will sew the sides, we will sew the under the arms all around, and we will sew the leg holes and top stitch. Well, first of all, the sides. So right sides facing together, this one with this one, right? So I'm gonna move this like so, right sides facing together. I'm gonna take my lining from the way. You can actually sew over 4 layers over the sides all together. But I don't think that's easier for you if you are a beginner or if your sewing machine is not that good. So I rarely do that. I avoid that because I don't. And then also because the seams sometimes they slide on the machine and then they are not correctly aligned. So that's not something I usually do. I sew 2 layers and then 2 layers again. So I start under the arm, and without pulling the fabric, I pin along the edge. And no, this is not a mistake. If you are wondering why that is sticking there, it's not a mistake. Once you have sewn using your seam allowance, you will see that the seams on the side will perfectly match. I'm going to repeat the same for the second side. So this one, I'm going to move this out of the way again. Oh, I still have this here. Then repeat the entire thing for the lining. So let's align again and align the sides. I just realized I basted this on the wrong side. I will have to remove the basting stitch. And oh my god, remove this. I'll be back. So again, this is what I want, not what I had. I'm glad it was just a basting stitch. Well, I'm gonna baste stitch again, this time here, okay, here, on the lining. Also sew, since we're here, we can also sew the lower part of our bottom, front with back. We might go as well, go ahead and sew them because I mean we have them ready anyway. So let me just see where the middle is. So our swimsuit is ready to be placed on the right side, and we can now do the arm holes and also the leg holes. So I'm gonna start by aligning the leg holes and pinning them in place, and then I'm going to apply the elastic on the side of my lining, all around, fold, and top stitch. Since I'm going to apply the elastic on the side of my lining, I prefer to pin it already with that side facing out, because it's easier for me not to do any mistake when I'm on my sewing machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin this very carefully and then go to my overlock and apply the elastic again on the side of the lining. Once you have your leg holes with the elastic applied on the side of your lining and also under the arms, we just need to do the top stitch, which is what I'm gonna do now. Well, this is the final result. I think it's pretty nice. I can't wait for my mother to try it on and for me to take some pictures, but that's it, girls. See you soon.